My name is Frank Weltner, and I would like to welcome you to Zionist News. Jewwatch, which attracts thousands of friendly and appreciative Jewish readers, is opposed by a few Zionist free speech rapists in Israel and New York City. Yes, there is an article in Haaretz today, at the bottom of which you will find two paragraphs talking about Jewwatch and how certain people don't enjoy my freedom of speech. They think that people like I should be denied the right to reach an audience all over the world, that there's something wrong with someone telling the truth about Israel, about Zionism, about how communism was started by the Zionists as a killing field, and they want it removed from Google. And they say that they're willing to collect 1 million signatures in order to stop Google from publishing results from Jewwatch. Google, of course, has always refused to do that, and I'm sure they will continue to do so. It's Jerusalem Day in Iran, and Iran accuses Israel of Palestinian genocide and asks for the transfer of Israel to Europe. Well, you've heard this before. This is Ahmadinejad saying that Israel is a European problem, that it was the Europeans who started the Holocaust in Europe, and so the Palestinians shouldn't have to pay for that. And he says, why not take Israel back to Europe and quit making it our problem? 3,000 Jerusalem police out in force to protect thousands of peaceful, fasting Muslim believers praying at the Temple Mount. Well, it's the last Friday of Ramadan, and the Muslims are praying and fasting. And in the evening they have a tremendous community meal, and it's very peaceful and very loving. And the Israelis are trying to protect them with 3,000 policemen, which I think is a very, very good thing. Good for you, Israel. That's a very good thing. Greedy Zionist song company Billionaire Pigs awarded $220,000 from Poor Black Girl for song trading on her computer. Using vile U.S. copyright laws, these same Zionists wrote themselves and pushed through their compliant Congress. Well, here we have these billionaire Zionists who own Viacom and the rest of these huge music companies. And they don't want little people like this black girl. I guess she lives in the ghetto, I'm not sure. She certainly doesn't have $220,000. She took it to court and the jury found her guilty, and the law says she has to pay between $9,000 and $10,000 per song that she shared, which I think is absolutely absurd. What are the songs worth? $1 a piece if you buy them? Absolutely absurd, Zionists.